Hello and welcome here to Talk FCB and welcome to the big one. This is the podcast in which I'll be discussing the whole of 2014, not all of it because I'm not quite sure we're going to fit all that into one podcast, but what I'm going to be doing, guys, is basically going through each player of the current squad and looking at how they perform for Barca in 2014. Now, a few things before I start. I'm going to be giving them a rating out of 10 for performance only and performance only for the club. This is nothing to do with their national side. If there's players that have joined in the summer, of course, they've had a shorter period in which to prove themselves, and I will not be taking into account what they've done with their previous clubs. I will not be talking about anyone who's left the club, i.e. Alexis Sanchez, Cesc Fabregas, the list goes on. I'll be talking about the current players, the current squad, and giving them a rating out of 10 for their performance with Barca only. So, let's start with the goalkeepers. First of all, Claudio Bravo. Now, Claudio Bravo came into the club in the summer. He's bought for quite about 12 million euros, 12 million, about that figure. And there was a lot of people who thought that was expensive because their first thought was that he was coming in as a backup goalkeeper. He played for Real Sociedad. He was a pretty established La Liga goalkeeper. We then saw him at the World Cup. He did very, very well there. And he was thought to be the number 2. Ter Stegen got injured in pre-season. Claudio Bravo came into the lineup. Whether that was going to happen or not, we don't know. But he was very, very good, very, very solid. He broke a record for clean sheets and with minutes conceded without conceding. And he was exceptional. I mean, there was some saves that he's made. He was very, very impressive, in the games, in the big games this season. Valencia springs to mind at the Mestalla. We could have been 2-0 down before we scored that last-minute winner. He's made some excellent saves there. Even in the Clásico, we lost 3-1. He was very, very good there. And he's been very good all season. He's got a lot of credit, which is good to see. My overall rating for him would be... I'm going to give him 9 out of 10. I don't think he's done much wrong at all. I can't really remember a certain mistake that he's made. The only mistake that I can think that he's made was in pre-season against Napoli, where he spilled that long-range shot. So that's all he's done. I think he's done very, very well. The defence have helped him at times. They've been very strong when he's been called upon. He's not called upon every game. He doesn't always have to make tons of saves. But that's the beauty of it. When you're a keeper at Barca, you've got to be alert. You've got to be concentrated. And I think he's done very, very well. So 9 out of 10 for him. Ter Stegen. I'm going to give the same to him. I'm going to give Ter Stegen a 9 out of 10 as well. Same goes to him, really. Only mistake that he's made was the one mistake against PSG in the first time we played them at the Parc des Princes. That was when the cross came in. He sort of came for it, and Verratti headed it home. That was the only mistake he made. And other than that, in the Champions League, he's been very, very solid. He's had to wait his turn. He's trying to integrate and learn the language in Spain as well, which is good to see. He's settling in with his teammates. He's obviously a very young keeper, but his passing range and his confidence is really exceptional. And I've been really impressed whenever I've watched Ter Stegen this season, particularly against PSG. The Camp Nou, he's very, very good. Made some good saves against Ajax as well, away from home. Made some outstanding saves, and again, his distribution there was outstanding. So both the keepers, I'm going to give a 9 out of 10. Of course, they've got to keep that going for the rest of the season, but so far from those two, it's been very, very good indeed. So Dani Alves now at the right back position, Douglas and Montoya. So Dani Alves, I'm going to go with a 6 out of 10. I'm going to be harsh with Dani Alves because we expect so much from him because of what he's done before. He's a phenomenal player. We know he can be exceptional. But I just feel 2014, the only 2 games that I remember him really imposing himself in is the 2 matches that he played against Man City. He scored twice, but not only that, he was his energetic self. He got up the pitch, he got back the pitch. He's very, very energetic. His final ball was good. He's very, very involved in everything we did. And I'm just not quite seeing enough of that from him lately. And the commitment I'm seeing is not quite enough. I've got to see him giving a bit more in games. I've got to see him being a bit more, sensible in his runs. He's got to be more committed at the back. And I just feel 2014 has not been his best year. And I really do hope that we see some sort of improvement in 2015. Montoya, not many chances to impress. I'm going to give him a 7 out of 10. I think when he's come in, he's been decent, he's been solid, but that's all. He needs to do a bit more in 2015. If he gets the opportunities in the team, which I really hope he does, I don't think he'll leave us now, so if he does get the chances in the team, he needs to take them. He doesn't need to just be good, he needs to show us something. He needs to be a bit more inventive, he needs to go forward a bit more, the final ball needs to be a bit better. But I do think that on his day, he's a very, very decent right back and could well do a job for us. Douglas, I'm going to go with a 5. Brought in for unknown reasons. He's been poor every time we've seen him. I don't think he's been as bad as some people have made out. Some people have made out, he wouldn't get in a Sunday League team. he's all right, but I mean, he's not a right back at Barca. It's that simple, really. And he has to make some drastic improvements. As the board said that he'll take a year to bed in. Most players from Brazil do. That's fair enough. If that's the case, though, I want to see some improvement in 2015. I don't hold out too much hope for Douglas, but it's been a poor start to his Barcelona career, and I do expect to see more from him, certainly, in 2015, but I'm not holding out too much hope. Left-back positions, Jordi Alba, Adriano. Jordi Alba, I'm going to go with a 8, and that's only because of last season. Last season he got an injury towards the end of the season, but I didn't quite see enough from him at the start of 2014. I thought he could have done a lot more, because we've seen so far this season, if I was rating him on this season, I would be pushing him towards the 9 and the 10s, because he's been absolutely outstanding this season. His form has been incredible, and that's what I should have saw last season, and we didn't quite see enough of it from Alba. He needs to be energetic, and he does that so well. He gets up and down, he's very, very involved with all the play going down the left-hand side. He's got a great relationship with Iniesta and Neymar, and I think so far this season he's been absolutely outstanding, but just because we didn't quite see enough of that last season, I'm going to give him an 8 out of 10. Adriano, I'm going to give him a 7. Reliable, you can call on him in whatever position you like. He's very, very versatile, very, very good when he comes in. He's always solid, never makes really a mistake. He's happy enough to be a squad player, a great player to have around the squad. Overall, 7 out of 10. So, centre-back positions now. Gerard Piqué, I'm going to go with a... I'm going to go with a 7. Again, if we're going to go on this season's performances, I would give him an 8 or a 9. The only reason I'm not pushing him up a bit is because the start of this season he was poor as well. He wasn't good at the start of 2014. Last season he wasn't that impressive. He had a few good performances at the end of last season, but again we didn't quite see the consistency from him. The start of this season Luis Enrique dropped him, but he's come on really strongly. If he can continue at this level, this consistent level, into 2015, he will certainly be up around the 9, 10, 8 marks, because he's done very, very well since he's come back into the squad this season, and I'm really hopeful that Piqué can take that into 2015. Marc Bartra has not been given that many opportunities, but when he has, he's been very good. I'm going to give an 8. I thought he played in the Copa del Rey final, a very, very big game for him, probably the biggest game he's played very, very well. Played against PSG, again, played very, very well. So whenever he's called upon, he does a good job. I want to see more of him in 2015 for sure, but every time he's been called upon, he's done well. So 8 out of 10 for Marc Bartra. Thomas Vermaelen, not even worth giving him a mark. He's not played an official game for the club. Absolutely pointless. Hopefully he can come back stronger in 2015. Hopefully we can see him in a Barca shirt sooner rather than later. Mattia, I think an 8 out of 10. I think he came in like Claudio Bravo, really wasn't really given that much respect when he came in, but he certainly earned it. He's been very, very solid in his performances, very, very good. He's got recalled to this French national squad as well, so he's done well there. So I'm going to give him an 8 out of 10. He's been very, very solid indeed. Mascherano, I'm going to give him a 9. I think every game you see Mascherano in, you see passion, you see desire, and you see a player who wants to do everything he can to help the team, and that's absolutely fantastic. Have somebody like that who's not always played in his best position. He's got the right attitude. He's been brilliant for us. He's one of our most underrated players, and I can only have a massive praise for him. 9 out of 10 for him. Busquets, I'm going to go with a 7, and that is painful to say, really, because he is a player that in the last few years you could have given him 9s, 10s, because he is so good, but I haven't quite seen it from him this season. He's not quite been at the level that we expect from him, but I do fully expect him to get back to that level. He is a player who can get back to that. He is a player who can impose himself, and I really hope that in 2015 we can see the very best of Sergio Busquets, because that really is something to be proud of. In terms of, I'm going to go with Sergi Sampra, because he's made a few appearances, just while include him. A really bright prospect this season. I'm going to go with a 9 every time I've seen him. He's been really impressive. So hopefully he can kick on in 2015. Hopefully he can get more first team opportunities, because he's a player that I'm really excited about. He's someone that I really want to see more of in the first team, and I hope that we do. Iniesta, I'm going to go with a 7. Again, like Busquets, painful to say. I thought he was good towards the end of last season, but this season so far, injuries have disrupted his season, and it's been difficult for him to get off the mark in the league and the Champions League. So hopefully in 2015 he can stay injury-free, he can get back into the team, he can get some consistency going, because when he's on form, we play a hell of a lot better, and I really want to see Don Andres get back to his very best. Xavi, I'm going to go with an 8. I thought he's been excellent for us, of course. He was debating leaving in the summer, but at the end of 2014 he was pretty good, and this season as well he's been excellent. Every time he's come into the side, he's played very well, he's controlled things, and he's been rolling back the years of performances. So I'm going to give him an 8 for that. I think he's been very, very good, and I hope that in 2015 we can continue to see the same from him. Who else is there now? Lionel Messi. Wow. It's been a tough year for Lionel Messi. I mean, he's been given a lot of criticism. He's been given a lot of comparisons between him and Ronaldo. But I think he scored over 50 goals. I'm going to give him a 9 because a 10 would be perfection for Lionel Messi, and that's very, very difficult because he sets such high standards of himself. But people are saying it's been a poor year for him. It's absolute rubbish. He didn't play that well at the start of 2014. He had the injuries problems, didn't he? But from then on, he's been outstanding. He wins games on his own. He's so emphatic in front of goal. He brings so much to the team, not only in terms of goals, but in terms of assists and chances created and moments on the ball and key dribbles and things like that. So I'm going to give him a 9, and I really want to see the very best of Lionel Messi next season. And I do believe this could be the year, not quite this one, but in 2014 could be the year that he reclaims his famous Ballon d'Or and gets that magic 5th golden ball. So let's wait and see on that one. I'm going to go with Neymar next. I'm going to give him an 8. And the reason for that, just like Gerard Piqué earlier, if I was giving him a rating on this season, it would be around the 9 and 10 mark. He's been absolutely outstanding this season, but towards the end of last season, we didn't quite see the best of Neymar, and that's to be expected, to be honest. Coming over from Brazil, it's not always easy to settle in, so I'm going to go with an 8 for Neymar. Better things to come for him for sure, because he's been outstanding this season. If he can take that level into 2015 and keep scoring on a consistent basis, we've got a hell of a player on our hands. And we knew that already. Neymar is coming through, and he's really coming into power. Pedro, I'm going to go with a 7. Last season, he had an absolutely poor season last season, really bad. But again, good to see now that he's coming back. He's getting a bit of confidence. He's getting amongst the goals. That's what we need from Pedro. We need that player in front of goal who can finish off a chance. He's becoming more deadly in front of goal again, and that is brilliant to see. And like so many others, if he can take this form, if he can continue on this path and take that into 2015, we could be onto a winner here. Because when Pedro is on form, it's much better for the team. And if he's on good form, he can really strengthen our squad. Back now to the midfielders, Rakitic and Rafinha. I'm going to give Rakitic an 8. I think he's come in, he was outstanding last season for Sevilla, but counting into what he's done for Barca, he's come in, he's done well. He's added a new dimension into our midfield, and he's had to cover for Dani Alves quite a lot of his play. So I'm going to give him an 8. He's been all-round, very, very solid indeed. He can do all parts of the midfield game, and I'm going to give him a solid 8 out of 10. Rafinha Alcantara. I'm going to give him an 8 as well. I think every time I watch him, he gives me a really good feeling, because on the ball he's very comfortable, he's very, very neat and tidy in and around the area, he's incredible close control, a lot like his brother really. He was always very comfortable on the ball, Thiago, and Rafinha is exactly the same, and I think I've got a lot of high expectations for this boy, because I think I watched him last season at Celta Vigo, he was very, very good, and I think 8 out of 10, certainly he needs to be given more chances in the team, but if he is, he can certainly shine. Munir and Sandro, I'm going to give them both an 8 out of 10. I think they've done very, very well to come into the first team and make an impact. Both of them did that. Both of them have scored goals. I think Sandro has done a little bit better than Munir in terms of the way he's adapted to the league and the physicality of the Spanish football. But Munir will certainly get there as well. Both of them have done really well. A breakthrough year for them, getting into the first team, making their mark. And let's hope we can see a bit more of them in 2015 and a lot more good times to come, I'm sure. So that leaves Luis Suarez, and I'm going to give him a 7 out of 10. Simply because, let's face it, he was banned for a lot of months of the season. He's not really had long, is he, to be fair, since coming back. But since he's come back, he's scored goals, he's got assists, he's off the mark in the league now. 7 out of 10 is not good enough for Suarez. He knows that as well as anyone, and I'm very, very confident that in 2015 he can bounce back. He can come back with that brilliant attitude he's got, the tenacious, fire-eating attitude, where he'll come in and he'll ruffle up the defenders, he'll get the goals, he'll get the assists, and we'll see a much, much better Luis Suarez, and a much fitter Luis Suarez as well in 2015. So I think I may have forgotten someone, so let me know below if there's anyone else you'd like me to do, but I've just quickly gone through this. We're about 15 minutes in right now to the video, so that's about it for now, guys. That's the ratings out of 2014. Like I've said before, it's not been the easiest year for Barca. There's been some testing moments, there's been some tough moments, but hopefully now in 2015, the players we've got, the consistency we have, let's hope those players can take that good form and good momentum, carry it on in 2015. We've got Real Sociedad coming up now in the new year. Let's just hope that can be a first win. Going to the Anoeta, it's not an easy place to go. I'll have a preview coming up for that within the next few days when it's closer to the game. But until then, guys, leave a like below, leave your comments on what I've said. If you've got anything you disagree with, please let me know. And again, I do really feel like there's someone I've left out, so let me know down below. I'll see you very soon, but until then, Visca Barca!